His regrets. Deputy Clerk Miracle
Present.
and CAO Martin.
Present.
Before we proceed with the adoption of the agenda, I'd like to take a moment and ask Council to do a silent moment of reflection to help support those who are suffering in Nova Scotia at Portapique. Thank you, Council. May I get a motion to adopt the agenda, please?
Everhardis, I move adoption.
I have a mover with the deputy. May I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Hudson. Any opposition? Hearing none, carried. Thank you. Any disclosure of interest tonight?
None.
None, sir.
I'm hearing none. Approval of the council meeting minutes of the April 8th, 2020 regular council meeting. What is council's wishes?
I would move that the minutes be accepted if found to be correct.
I have a mover with Councillor Clark. May I have a seconder, please?
Second, Everhardis.
And seconded by the deputy mayor. Any opposition?
None.
Hearing none, carried. Thank you very much. There will be no deputations tonight. There is nothing for the variance report. We have a schedule of accounts 7-2020 for the amount of $243,940.11. What are council's wishes? May I get a mover to adopt, please?
I would move adoption of the finance found to be correct.
I have a mover with Councillor Clark, and I believe I have a deputy mayor doing the second. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Any questions pertaining to this document? Any opposition? Hearing none? Carried. Thank you very much. First, we have the staff reports. We have 8.1. We have the Deputy Treasurer's Statement of Remuneration and Expenses Paid for Council. What is council's wishes?
I move to get on the table, Deputy Mayor.
I will take that. May I have a seconder, please, to place this piece of correspondence on the table?
I will
I'll
second.
second.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hudson. So I have a mover with the deputy mayor, and I have a seconder with Councillor Hudson. Any opposition?
A question.
Carried. It's on the
Deputy
table.
Mayor. I made an inquiry yesterday, Mayor, to staff. I was wondering if there was any resolution of that inquiry pertaining to the mileage on my remuneration expenses paid report.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. I'm going to defer this to the CAO for comment.
To Deputy Mayor through the chair, my apologies. I haven't had a chance to investigate. So I guess my recommendation would be to just defer this to the next meeting until I can investigate.
I would definitely take that as a motion if somebody wants to make it.
Deputy Mayor Everhardis, I'll move that.
Okay, I've got a mover to defer while we're doing an investigation. May I have a
I'll second
please?
that.
Seconded by Councillor Clark. Any discussion? Any opposition? Hearing none. All in favor, carried. Thank you. Next, we have 8.2. We have culture and communications report. Can I have a mover, please, to get this on the table?
I would so move, Your Honor.
I have a mover with Councillor Clark. May I have a seconder, please?
I'll second.
And
Councillor
seconded by
Hudson.
Councillor Hudson. Any opposition? If not, it's on the table. Okay, so we've got a piece of correspondence here, and there is an action item within. I'm going to defer to Councillor Hudson, who is our representative on this committee. Maybe she can speak to the action item on the last page, point number 4.
That we are requesting that the town council accept a town resident as a member of the Culture and Rec Committee.
Would that be your,
So,
yeah?
Sorry to interrupt, go ahead.
No, go ahead, sorry.
So as far as that action item, I'm sure you have all seen the correspondence that comes with that there was one person who has moved that they will not be part of the committee anymore. And so there's an open spot. And so this person sat in as a member of the community in the last committee meeting and was really interested in moving forward with becoming part of the committee.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the table?
Deputy Mayor Curtis,
Yes, please.
through you, Mayor, to Councillor Hudson. Just reviewing, we also received correspondence with our policy on committees and appointments. And in that policy, it says any vacancies midterm will be appointed during the fourth quarter of that year. It's kind of a new policy. We only adopted it in 2019. But looking at that policy, I don't know if this request from the committee is in order according to that policy.
So you'd like to defer it until a further time in the year?
Due to the fact we do have a policy on the books.
Okay, so there's a recommendation right now to, there's, the correspondence is on the table for discussion. So what I can do is I can take a motion if somebody wants to make a motion to either defer or approve. It does not. So if someone would like to make a motion, we can start with that.
Not that it's a motion, but I think the discussion then continues that we need to change. Is that what we're speaking about? Is that we need to change the language within the document?
I think what the deputy mayor might be referencing, actually, Stephen, can I have you comment a little bit further on what you're talking about?
Yeah, just thank you, Mayor. I was just looking through the policy that was shared with us the last couple of days, looking at our appointment process. And it looks like, although the candidate is excellent and qualified, because there wasn't an advertisement, because it is a mid-year vacancy, there is express language in the policy that mid-year vacancies are dealt with in the fourth quarter at the end of the year. So my issue is not when we appoint, but it's more of the process of ensuring that if a vacancy is arising and the community then has the opportunity, all members, to apply. That would be my concern.
Oh, so you would like to...
Yeah. So I think the simplest thing is perhaps we retain the resume of the individual in question here and consider them for appointments in the appropriate time when we fill vacancies.
Are you putting that on the floor, Deputy Mayor?
I will move that we retain the application and consider the individual at the appropriate time as per the policy.
Okay, so I've got that as a motion on the table. May I have a seconder? I'd be willing to discuss the motion if I can get a seconder.
I'll second it.
For discussion? So I have
Yes,
a mover,
yeah.
I have a mover and a seconder for discussion purposes. Does anyone have any questions with respect to the motion as it's worded? Any opposition? to the
Your
motion?
Honor, I'm just having a little bit confusion here. Deputy Mayor is saying when it's appropriate. Could you just, Deputy, say when it's appropriate? I'm a little bit confused on this.
Sure.
Councillor Clark, there is a timeline in the committee policy when we are able to fill vacancies on all our committees, and it appears towards the end of the policy, and it says, and I'll just pull it up here, I have the policy in front of me. Bear with me, please, sir. Midterm vacancies. A midterm vacancy may occur, and there's 3 clauses. And then it says midterm vacancies for all Town of Deseret committees will be filled in the last quarter of each year. Appointments will be made for the remainder of the committee term. Members appointed midway through a committee term will be eligible to serve a maximum of 4 years, commencing with the first 2 full terms. So that appears on page 5 of the policy document.
So is there any specific provisions in there for term appointments, Deputy?
Yeah.
So through you,
Yes?
so maybe we can get a timeline then on, sorry, I apologize, I'm not privy to the exact timeline. So maybe we can go about a timeline and go ahead and put that through in what the deputy mayor is talking about.
I'm going to ask the CEO to just shed a little bit of clarity on the topic that we're discussing right now. Christine, would you be able to comment a little bit further, please?
Basically, what's happening is the policy says to have a new member, it should be done in the last quarter of the year. So anytime October, November, or December is when we should be appointing new members for a vacancy. Mid. So
the
that's,
midterm vacancy must be Q4 of that calendar year.
that's right.
Okay. Thank you
So
very
we
much.
wouldn't be able to put this person in place according to our policy until October.
Does that provide clarity for council?
And I'm not sure why that is in that policy, but we can maybe review that as well.
I was just going to ask, Your Honour, could we not change that policy? It seems to me that it's a long time to leave a position vacant until the last quarter, especially if we have somebody that's willing to sit now.
I believe that would be within our rights to take a look at and review the policy as written. Would that have other effects on other areas or other committees and boards that we have throughout the municipality? If so, that could be stated during an investigation phase, I guess. So I could take a motion that we bring that back on the table.
Your worship, if
Yes.
I may,
Yes.
I know we have a motion on the table to discuss,
Yes.
but after that motion is discussed, I am willing to make a motion to review the policy. It's been on the books for 18 months. A review might be a good thing.
Okay, so the motion right now is that we adhere to policy. So that's the motion that's on the table. That's the motion that we're currently discussing. I can take an all in favor on this motion if that's what council wishes, and then move on to a secondary motion where we can bring this policy back for a discussion at another meeting. Is that what I'm being asked of from council?
That's what I'm suggesting. It's the will of the council table.
So does everybody understand? So right now we currently have a motion on the table that has been moved and seconded in order to abide by the policy. And that's the motion that we're currently discussing. Does everyone feel that this motion itself has been adequately discussed?
At this point, yeah, my guess.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. So I'm gonna call an all in favor, or sorry, I'm gonna say, is anyone opposed to the motion that's currently on the table that we're discussing? If not, I'm gonna say all in favor. Carried. Okay. As per that discussion, I believe that there might be another motion coming. Would somebody like to make a motion?
Thank you. Everhardis, I move that we review the appointment policy for committees.
May I have a seconder, please?
I would second that, Clark.
Okay, so I have a mover from the deputy to review all the committees. I have seconded by Councillor Clark. I would expect to see this on the next council agenda in order to satisfy the needs of our committees. Any discussion? Any opposition to this motion?
None.
Hearing none? Carried. Thank you very much. Next piece of correspondence is 8.3. It's an update from transit. There's some commentary in there, and there is an action plan indicated by our transit coordinator. I believe it's more informational purposes. What are council's wishes?
I move that we receive the report. Everhardis?
I'll take that as a motion. May I have a seconder, please?
I would
Councillor-
second that.
Okay, so I have a mover with the deputy mayor. I have a seconder with Councillor Clark. Any discussion?
Your Honor, could I, through you, ask our CEO a question?
Absolutely.
Christine, correct me here if I'm wrong, but transit, with the gas money that we get for transit, does that cover basically the operation of transit, in that it covers the expense of the vehicle, it covers the wages and so on of the employees of transit? The only thing that really, it's the fares that come in on transit is the money that we get, but everything else would be covered by the gas tax that we get.
So through Councillor Clark to through the mayor, the gas tax funding formula is a little more complicated than just simply saying that is all covered, because the expectation is the provincial gas tax funding will only cover 75% of operating and capital expenditures. The municipalities, the fares, like the municipal contributions, they have to all at least equate to 25% of the operating expenditures, or offset the operating expenditures. So I can't give you a straight answer on that, but yes, all of those items are covered under the expenditures for provincial gas tax, yes.
Okay, thank you, Christine. That's the information that I was really looking for. Thank you.
So I have a mover and a seconder to accept the report. Any further discussion?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the CAO, and through you, I have a question about the progress part of the report.
Sure.
And it says, as far as like, I need to have disinfecting wipes and things like that, are those things being provided as necessary?
Well, they're difficult to find, but we are doing our best to find them.
Okay.
Any further discussion with respects to the report?
None.
The only thing I would add is I would strongly encourage the transit coordinator continue on the path that she's going. It looks like that the plan that she is outlining looks very solid once it's fully validated, and it's something that we can get up and running. So I'm very happy when seeing the proactive approach. So I have a mover and I have a seconder. We've had some healthy discussion. Any opposition? All in favor? Carried. Okay, so the next piece of correspondence that we have, bear with me 1 second here, I just kind of lost my page. We have committee board meeting minutes of 9.1 Building Inspection Service Board reports for the month of March 2020. What are council's wishes?
Your Honor, I would make a motion to accept this if found to be correct.
I will take that motion, Councillor Clark. May I have a seconder, please?
Councillor Hudson.
And I'll take that. So I have a mover with Councillor Clark, a seconder with Councillor Hudson. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Okay, correspondence 10, action items, we have none. And then information items or items requiring no action. We have 11.1 through to 11.5. I can take that as one singular motion if that's what council wishes.
If I may, or Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Everhard is here. I believe, is there not a request coming in 11.1 from planning to suspend the proceedings? Through you to the CAO, please.
Christine, do you have comment, please?
I'm not sure it's a request. I think it's just a recommended position that
So-
council can decide to do that.
So shouldn't that be an action item? Whether we decide to follow the recommendation or not? Might have just been a slip through. I missed that in my first reading.
We could always pull that piece of correspondence out and do further investigation. Christine, if you need a little bit more time to digest the document.
If you would like to make a decision whether to suspend planning or not, that's council's decision. I simply just put the information on.
Thank you very much. Then what I'll do is let's take a look at 11.1 specifically. We'll look at that by itself. Deputy Mayor, would you have a motion pertaining to this?
Yes, I would move that we follow the procedure recommended by Planning Department and suspend our planning applications for this time during the emergency, and that any application be forwarded to the county for comment as outlined in the document.
So that's the motion. May I have a seconder, please?
I can second that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. I have a mover with the deputy and I have a seconder by Councillor Clark. Any further discussion regarding this? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Okay, so I can take 11.2 to 11.5 as one motion, or we can look at each individually. It's up to council. What is council's wishes?
I will move 11.2 to 11.5 for to be received.
Thank you very much. May I have a seconder, please?
I second that motion. Councillor Hudson?
Thank you. I have a mover with Deputy Mayor Everhardis, a seconder with Councillor Hudson. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. So we have 12 new business, which we have none today. We have notices of motion, which are none. And then we have announcements, which is 14. So going around the table, I will ask the Deputy Mayor if he has any comments for tonight.
No comment.
None, oh, sorry.
So okay, Councillor Clark, any comments tonight?
None, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, sir. And Councillor Hudson?
Personally, for me, this week is volunteer week. So I do have an announcement with this week. It's a big week for things that I believe in recreation and culture. My inspiration for that is my grandpa Widmeyer, who was also previous counselor for Smith Falls for 13 years. So I want to congratulate all the volunteers in the area and all the things that are going on during the pandemic, and volunteers are spending their time and commitment during this time.
Thank you very much for those kind words, Councillor Hudson. I have no comments for tonight myself. We have 15 bylaws, which is bylaw 30-20 to enter into agreement for bylaw and animal control services. May I have the deputy please read the bylaw?
Bylaw 30-20 being a bylaw to enter into a contract with Canadian Court of the Commissioners, Kingston Region, for the provision of bylaw and animal control services for the 8th-month period commencing May 1st and ending December 31st, 2020. And I move that this bylaw be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed on this 22nd day of April.
May I have a seconder, please?
I'd second that, Your Honor. Clark.
Thank you very much, Councillor Park. I have a mover with Deputy Mayor Everhardis, and I have a seconder with Councillor Park. Any opposition? I'd like to take a moment here to thank the CAO and Councillor Clark for their work on this portfolio. I believe it's going to bring an enhanced service to our community. So thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. So the next part of the meeting will be a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council. And then what will happen is I will take a brief recess, and then I will ask that council enters into closed section under section 239 for 2 matters due to labor relations and possible litigation.
All right.
So may I have a bylaw, please, to confirm the proceedings of council?
That would be bylaw 3120, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council of the meeting April 22nd, 2020. And I move that bylaw be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed April 22nd, 2020.
Thank you very much. May I have a seconder, please?
I would
I-
second that, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Clark. So I have a mover with Deputy Mayor Everhardis and a seconder with Councillor Clark. All in favor? Carried. And lastly, what I need is I need a motion to adjourn, knowing that we're going into a closed session meeting.
So moved. Everhardis.
Thank you very much. I'll take that, Deputy Mayor. And do I have a seconder, please, for the adjournment? Councillor Hudson?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'll take that. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Council. I'll see you in closed session.